answer the question, what can I automate in my business? By the end of this video, you're going to discover how automation can help you immediately increase your business's bottom line. We're going to start off looking at something that's going to make you a little uncomfortable, but it's definitely going to help you in business. And that is, we're going to look at how you're probably stealing from your business. And you're going to learn how to unlock the ultimate tool for productivity. So I hope you're ready. Strap on a seatbelt. We're going to have some fun. When you're thinking about what you can automate in your business, one of the first things and easiest things to automate are repetitive tasks. FormStack's 2022 State of Digital Maturity Report found that at least 51% of workers spend an average of 2 hours a day on repetitive tasks. Many of these tasks don't necessarily have to be performed by humans. But here's the deal. So when you think about repetitive tasks, maybe it's things that need to be checked every day or going through certain steps to perform a certain process. Oftentimes, those are things that can be automated, if not completely, at least partially. So it might be a matter of using some type of project management technology to help guide your team in what they should be doing next versus having a person who's managing the process. It might be a matter of actually leveraging technology to analyze data versus having a data analyst go through and do the work themselves. We live in a time where technology is quickly advancing, so it can help us get rid of some of these things that don't necessarily have to be performed by humans, and in some cases, they're less accurate. One of my favorite examples of humans being less accurate than technology can be found in a company called LawGeek. LawGeek created an AI model that's really competing with attorneys. They don't say that, but that's kind of what it does. And what they did was they created a study where they wanted to see how accurate LawGeek's AI model was in spot checking NDAs versus leading attorneys. That the LawGeek AI and attorneys analyzed 5 different NDAs, and the whole concept was they were supposed to spot check them for any kind of errors or things that could be problematic for their clients. What they found is that the LawGeek AI was not just 9% more accurate on average than the humans, but while it took the human attorneys over an hour and a half to review all 5 NDAs, it took the LawGeek's AI model less than 30 seconds. So again, less than 30 seconds to be 9% more accurate. And so we have to start thinking about our own organizations and thinking, are there places where AI or some other type of technology could actually be more accurate than humans? If there's any processes in your business that are dependent upon anyone's memory, that is something that should be automated, because nothing in your organization should be dependent upon one individual, because if anything happens where they leave or something happens to them, now the whole business is crumbling because no one knows how to perform that function and no one's being prodded to move forward on that item. We want to make sure that in our business, we have our people focusing on the most important job aspects. And I always say as business owners, we should be focusing on revenue generating activities. So we certainly need to automate or at least outsource any work that we're doing as organization leaders or owners that is not revenue generating, because someone else or possibly some piece of technology can probably do it at a reduced cost while we're actually increasing the revenue for our organizations. What else can you automate? Well, certain customer interactions. I need you to focus on the word certain, because we've all been the victim of automation when it came to having some type of customer service issue. I want you to think back to the last time you had an issue with a cable or telecommunications company and you had to call them about an issue with your account or service. How did that go? You probably spent an hour or 2 hours just trying to get to a human. That's not what I'm talking about. We don't want to anger our customers or our clients. And most of us don't have the same monopolies that these large telecommunication companies have, where they might only be one of 2 in an area, right? So because our clients have choices, we have to make sure that we're only automating those customer interactions that add value to them. So it's not just about cutting costs for us internally, but making sure that we're adding value to them. So with that having been said, I think a great example would be if you've ever been to Las Vegas. Many of the casinos now, when you check in, they get your phone number and you're able to use a text bot to ask questions. Now you might be thinking, why can't I just talk to someone at the front desk? Well, you absolutely can, but ask yourself this. I know me, if I'm in my room and I want to know the fitness center hours, or I want to know if the pizza place delivers up to my room, I don't want to have to call the front desk, wait for someone to answer, or call the service hotline and wait for someone to answer. Having a bot where I can just ask, what are the hours of the fitness center, and it immediately gives me that information back, is amazing. And so those are the type of customer interactions that we want to automate. Additionally, when we use things like CRMs or customer relationship management systems, we can automate reminders to follow up with people. So maybe if they're going through a merger next year and we know that we have some type of product or service that would be useful at that time, we know when to follow up. So again, automating the experiences to make it better for the client or customer, and then automating some of those prompts so that we don't forget to follow up with people and offer that great customer service and that caring attention that people expect from us. So here's the deal. I mentioned focusing on revenue generating tasks as a business owner or one of the top leaders, because if we are spending our time on repetitive tasks that are easy to automate or outsource to someone else, we're actually stealing from our business because we're overpaying for the labor to complete those items. So we don't want to steal from our business. We want to make sure that we're automating or outsourcing so that we're focusing on the most important aspects of business growth. The next thing that you can automate, I'm going to say we want to do this very carefully, but we can automate some marketing and social media. So right now we live in a time where a great deal of technology can help us come up with creative social media posts. It can even help us with A/B testing and creating alternative ads for us, right? So this is amazing. However, we do have to be careful that we don't just run with the technology. We do have to check it. I'm reminded of an example of a few years ago where there was a gentleman that was using Facebook ads, and he was using technology to randomly create statements for t-shirts, and they were popping up on different ads on Facebook. And some of them made sense and some of them were a little nonsensical and funny, and people just saw the ads and just kept going. Some people laughed, some people bought shirts. Well, it turned a little dark when it started mixing some messages and basically recommending different types of violence against women. The people that were seeing those ads had no idea that these were randomly generated sayings. But what they did know is they were offended, and in a time where Me Too was on the rise, this was the most horrible time to have this type of technology snafu. So for automating social media or ads or anything along those lines, we do want to make sure that we have humanized check something before it goes out. But we can also automate the content that we create ourselves where we're setting them up on timers to go out. Most of the major social media platforms have some type of technology available for that, but additionally you do have third parties as well that offer you automation services. Do you want to learn not only what can be automated, but also what can be outsourced? Make sure to check out my video, How to Build a Better Business with Outsourcing. Back to your tactics. One of the other things you can automate is data analysis. We have some of the most advanced mathematical technology tools we've ever had in human history. And so leveraging programs over trying to find the right people to do the work oftentimes can give us more accurate information faster. For instance, in the medical field, what they're finding is that AI technology is much better at body scans and detecting things like cancer than the average human medical professional. So there are times where the technology tools are better than humans in terms of accuracy. We can automate things like workflow and project management. That's not saying that project managers themselves are not still important, they certainly are, but using tools like Asana for one, and there's many others out there, can help you automate processes. And so at any point in time, you know where a project stands, you know who's holding the ball on this, who needs what from whom, and you can have a central repository for all the data and the files needed to complete the project. The best thing about it is that it automatically sends prompts to whomever needs to contribute to the project so that everyone has a full picture on where the project stands. I'm sure that you absolutely love this part of your business, but financial and accounting processes, much of that can be automated as well. Now, we definitely want to pay attention to what's going out. We want to ensure that we're auditing, but at the same time, it is possible and very easy to automate payments, to automate paychecks, and even compiling information that we need to present to our shareholders and organization leaders. The fact of the matter is, many things in our organizations that we don't think of as being able to be automated actually can. It's just a matter of being able to create systems for them. If something can be systematized, it very likely can be automated as well. Now that you've spent some time looking at what you can automate in your business, we definitely want to think about other things in your business moving forward. And so I do have a free gift for you today. If you go into the description of this video, you'll see that there's a link to download my Future Ready Playbook. Click that link and download it today so that you have access to worksheets and tactics that will help you have more strategic planning around the future of you and your organization.